the one that I find really helpful to think about is going back to 1215 in the Magna Carta. So for a long time, when kings asserted their power and, were crowned, and one of the things that they were often asked to do by the nobles was to guarantee that they wouldn't do certain things. Imagine Game of Thrones. There's a new king, like all the wealthy people in the city where the king rules are going to say, like, promise us you'll still let us, well, we still want to trade unimpeded with the people of this place, or, we still want to be able to exploit these workers over here in this way, or we believe in this witchcraft thing and don't tell us we can't do that anymore. And kings or queens would sometimes make lists of promises, not so much to the people, but to the wealthy people, to the nobles, saying, I won't do this and I won't do that and I won't do this. King John of England in 1215 was in an extremely weak position, and the nobles and barons said, you need to make us a list of a lot of things you're not going to do. And he made this big list, Magna Carta, basically a big charter of all the things he wouldn't do. I won't just take your castle. I won't have my soldiers just invade your home. I won't just put you in jail without a trial. Like, they don't seem like extremely charitable things, but it was a document in which the king essentially conceded, I don't have the right to do just anything to you. There's some things I cannot do because there are some ways in which, although I am your sovereign, I am the king, and therefore I rule over you. There are some ways in which the document begins to concede, you are sovereign. You rule over yourself, and I can't take some things from you. So that's 1215. That document, it basically gets torn up and forgotten almost as soon as it is signed by the king, who never honors any of those things. But in the 17th century, there's a big dispute between Parliament and the king, because the king starts to say, oh, I don't grant you anything. Like, all rights are mine. I am the king. My right comes from God. I am the divine king. God appointed me. I'm in charge of all of you. My right is divine. And asserted this thing called the divine right of kings. And so Parliament was like, yeah, but we don't want to pay these new taxes, or yeah, but we don't like it when you seize people and throw them in the Tower of London. Like, yeah, but we think that Parliament should meet every year. Yeah, but we think we passed the laws and then, you agree to them. And the king was like, no, I'm the king. And God tells me that I'm right about everything. Some clever people who were opposed to the king said, oh, you know what we have though? We have that Magna Carta from 1215 that everyone would kind of forgotten about. And they're all, yeah, you know what? We have this thing, Magna Carta, and it means that you can't do all this stuff to us. It means actually you might have this divine right of kings. We were not going to stipulate that. We have an ancient constitution. And they started calling the Magna Carta their ancient constitution. Political game is who has greater authority. Parliament said, we have an ancient constitution and you are bound by it. And in this, it determines that we, Parliament, are sovereign. And then they began to assert these claims, asserting that in time immemorial, kind of also relying on Locke's social contract theory, in some timeless, unidentified place, at some point in the mystical past, the people of England, who are sovereign because all people are born with natural rights and they must grant their consent to be governed, they had given their consent not to the king, but to Parliament. And therefore Parliament was really the sovereign. And that was the big fight of the English Civil War. And, it is a civil war. A king is beheaded over it. And it's essential to understand that political battle to understand the founding of the United States.